on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. It is Saturday, June 20th, 2020, and this is episode 331, part number 2. And we have a loaded show for you this afternoon. I have a lot to get into, man, and obviously the elephant in the room is what happened on social media yesterday afternoon, all day yesterday, going on into SmackDown last night, and it's continuing today on social media. At first, I didn't really want to talk about it. At first, I was just going to completely ignore it and really just not bring the negativity, because there's enough negativity in the WWE as far as what we watch on a weekly basis, but from me to you, I didn't really want to bring any more negativity to A, pro wrestling, and B, what I do on the show. I didn't really know how to attack it. And I mentioned this on SmackDown last night when I did my review of SmackDown, Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles, and whatever else happened on the show last night. I was here last night. I didn't even know what to say. I know what is right. I know what is wrong. I know a shitty human being from a good human being. Whatever you're hearing, whatever you are reading on social media, it is very heartbreaking that we as a human being, we as a race, can be so nasty, so disgusting, so vile, so disrespectful, so ridiculous. It was at a point yesterday where it was just one after the other, just so many stories coming out. I felt like if I walked away from my computer or I put my phone down that I was going to miss something major breaking. It was literally, I step away for 30 minutes to go have lunch, or I step away for an hour and I play The Last of Us 2, or I hop on my PS4, and I feel like I missed a whole week's worth of news. It was that much. It was that much just coming at you all at the same time. And I'm going to do my best to really give you, I would say, an outsider's perspective looking in, from me to you, on the entire subject. We're going to talk about who was named, the most important names we're going to go over. Who was named, who said what WWE, AEW, Impact, Progress, and all these other promotions are going to do in light of the speaking out movement, what I think of the Matt Riddle situation, what I think of the damning Velveteen Dream situation right now, which I pray to God for. Patrick Clark's case is nothing more than a misunderstanding, false information, a hoax, whatever it may be. I hope for his case that anything that is being said about the Velveteen Dream, Patrick Clark, I hope is not legit. I really hope so. And it's just very sad to even think about. It really is. So that's what we're going to talk about primarily today. On top of that, I got much to come out of Monday Night Raw. I got a lot to come out of Monday Night Raw. I got news on WWE's CV19 protocol. I got an update on their CV testing. I got something coming out of Florida where the Orange County mayor signs executive orders for all face masks. You're probably wondering why there were no face masks on SmackDown, because SmackDown was actually taped on Monday. This I have to see. Moving forward with the WWE tapings, are there going to be face masks in attendance at the Performance Center come Monday when WWE tapes Raw and SmackDown? That's what I'd like to know. So the Orange County mayor signs executive orders for face masks. Mandatory. WWE teasing a Randy Orton feud on Raw Talk. We talked about that on Friday's show. I also talked about this, and I just kind of threw it out there gingerly. The Forgotten Sons. They may legitimately be forgotten. The entire gimmick may be scrapped. What WWE's planning for them. Paul Heyman news. After his firing from Raw, which superstars on the show are, quote-unquote, safe We'll go over that today. More creative changes as well to the creative team. And obviously, we're going to get into the entire situation with the speaking out movement and everything that came out of that. I got moves from SmackDown to Raw. Who's moving, who's not moving, why they are being moved, where Bianca Belair is, why Nia Jax is being pushed over Shayna Baszler as the top heel in the women's division. I got a lot today, folks, so strap yourselves in. Go grab a cold beverage. We'll be here for a little bit. I want to thank you guys for joining me right here on Off the Script. If you missed anything that I've uploaded on Friday, man, big day, busy day on Friday. First, I started the day off streaming on Twitch. If you guys are into the video game thing, go and check that out, man. Twitch.tv/JDfromNY. New York is spelled out. It is not abbreviated on Twitch. We have a beautiful little community blossoming over there on Twitch, and I started the day on Friday playing The Last of Us 2, and I enjoyed it. I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it moving on into the game after what everybody is saying, but I will be the judge of that. But I enjoyed it for what it was. It reminded me of how much I love the first game. And if you guys enjoy that, go and follow me on Twitch, because that's where that will be exclusively, if you're into that type of thing. Then we did Off the Script. Off the Script went live at 2:30 on Friday afternoon, episode 331, part number 1 for this weekend's podcast. Face masks. Kevin Dunn doesn't want them. He did say it. If you guys don't believe the report that he did not say it, then I'm going to give you every reason in the book as to why he did say it. 100%. He said, if you do not wear face masks, you're not a fan. They are not allowed in our building for XXX reasons. So I go over that and everything that was the clown show, that was WWE's virus protocol. It was a shit show. And WWE should be ashamed. And obviously they're doing this and they're doing that and they're presenting their product for one reason and one reason only. Because they want to tour again. They want live attendance back. They want real fans in attendance again at WWE shows. That is the only reason why. They want to make it safe for you and I to go back into their buildings and watch their performers perform. They don't want anything as far as this virus being prevalent, I should say. Prevalent, I'm making up words now. Prevalent on their shows. So that's exactly why I think Kevin Dunn said what he said. And who was tested, who wasn't tested, how long did the tests take to come back negative or positive, etc., etc. I go over the entire shit show that was WWE's canceling of their TV tapings this past week on part 1. Go and check that out. On Friday night, we talked about Matt Riddle and his debut on SmackDown against AJ Styles. Did I enjoy it? Of course I did. I always enjoy our bro. But did WWE go about it in the right way? Some of you think so. But I'm sticking to my guns on this one, folks. I don't want to be hypocritical. I don't want to be, stepping on my own toes. WWE needs to change the way that they do things on TV. It's one thing to present a guy as a star. It's another thing to present the guy as a star and make it make sense. You can't take nobody from NXT and just thrust them into a championship title program and everybody be like, oh my goodness, this is exciting. I complained about what I complained about on Friday because WWE makes the same mistake every single time with everybody. There is no rhyme or reason for why they do what they do. There's no intrigue. There's no effort. There's no building this guy up legitimately. Wins and losses don't matter. I enjoyed what AJ Styles and Matt Riddle did on Friday. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it made sense. I don't agree with it. No matter who came up from NXT, Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, you name it. If it was those men in that situation, I would have said the same exact thing. So go and check out why I did not like Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles on SmackDown. Busy day. Everything you need, including the rest of the week's content, linked down below in the description. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon, if you guys want to support patreon.com/JDfromNY206. And today's podcast is brought to you by the one and the only, The Ridge. Ridge.com/script. Go and get yourself a beautiful Ridge wallet, courtesy of me. You guys use code SCRIPT to get 10% off. That and any other purchase on the site. Ridge. I want to thank them for supporting the podcast today. We'll talk about them a little bit later on in the show. But that is ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout. Let's start light, folks, before we get into the real heart of the matter here. Some minor updates. WWE's CV19 testing, an update on their testing. WWE had the CV19 tests following a positive test from an NXT performer that we now know is a female, developmental talent on Monday Night. As reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer says that there has been no further positive tests since the shit show that happened earlier in the week. No positive test results have been reported, so hopefully nobody else was infected by her, says Dave Meltzer. As we noted yesterday on Off the Script, it was reported that the talent who tested positive was a female, and they had not been on NXT TV, but they are part of the NXT brand. They had been in the crowd for shows as of late. The concern would be, of course, that she spread the virus amongst the crowd and the other PC performers there at the tapings. But so far, the lack of positive test results suggests that hasn't happened, and hopefully it remains to be the case. So that is the update there. WWE, like I said on Friday's show, they only had to do one thing and one thing only, and that was test. That was test. If WWE gave consistent tests every single week, then this wouldn't be an issue. WWE even altered their taping schedule to where they are kind of overwhelming their employees, but at the same time, it's an effort to keep them out of the performance center every single week and keep them safe. They're at least trying. They were at least trying. They weren't testing, but they were at least trying. WWE has no excuse. You administer these tests once every 2 weeks for people who are going to be on the show, for people that are going to be in that building, and then you're over with it. It's a done deal. They didn't test anybody. Instead of testing once every 2 weeks, you opted to test nobody. WWE is to blame here. They made themselves look like a complete clown show earlier in the week. That is the update from Dave Meltzer. Nobody else has been infected. Nobody else has tested positive. Hopefully it stays that way, and hopefully whoever was infected goes on to feel a lot better sooner rather than later. We talked about the face masks. Kevin Dunn said, if you wear a face mask, you are not a fan. Kevin Dunn did not want face masks on WWE TV because Kevin Dunn is an asshole. Because WWE wants to have live people, regular people in their buildings for these tapings. They want to go back and start touring. How that's going to happen, I don't know. That might not happen till next year, the way things are going now, still with the CV19. But Kevin Dunn didn't want masks on TV. Masks apparently were not allowed in the building. Now the Orange County mayor signs executive orders for face masks to be mandatory. Orange County, Florida, Mayor Jerry Demings said a new restriction will require everyone to wear a mask. How will this indeed affect WWE? Without the masks, obviously you're risking infection, but WWE, how is this going to affect the way that they do business? Well, the Performance Center is located in Orlando, in Orange County. The mayor said the order allows for people to remove masks when eating or drinking. However, people must wear masks in public, entering establishments, and while working. So WWE is in an establishment, and they are working when the camera is on. Those NXT recruits, as Kevin Dunn labeled them, are working because you're asking them to do something that most of them probably don't want to do. We don't know who feels safe and who doesn't. You're asking them to come to work. You're asking them to work for you. So clearly, they need to be in masks, per the mayor of Orlando and Orange County. So that's that. So people must wear masks. And that is in public, entering establishments while working. The only exceptions are eating or exercising outside. This is on the Orlando Sentinel Twitter account. Breaking. Orange County Mayor Jerry Deming said Thursday he will sign an executive order requiring every person in the county to wear a mask, an effort to try and stem a resurgence of CV19 seen in the last 10 days. So could WWE be moving their matches outside the Performance Center? Are they going to abide by this? I read a report that people, local authorities, government officials asked WWE to close down 3 separate times. And they did not do it because they weren't adhering to the protocol or the CDC recommendations or whatever the government officials in their county set forth. I don't know how true that is, but I read it. Now, is WWE going to move their matches and their shows outside? I doubt it. Would that count as exercise? I doubt it. Orlando has seen a spike in CV19 since loosening restrictions 10 days ago. This order is meant to slow the increase in cases. However, we don't know how this will impact WWE. This particular order won't affect AEW because it's only a county-wide order. Jacksonville is in a completely different county. So that is that. Again, you guys know my stance on face masks. I don't necessarily agree with them. I don't really want to wear a face mask. I don't care to wear a face mask. But I'm not going to sit here and point the finger of, oh, look at this guy wearing his face mask. You know, I'm not going to poke fun at somebody who wants to wear a fucking face mask. You can wear a face mask because you feel like you're making a difference. You can wear a face mask because you might be sick and you don't want to get other people sick. It's fine. You should not tell people, to not wear face masks. If they want to wear a face mask, then wear a fucking face mask. But don't tell me I have to wear one. Don't tell me I can't wear one. If you want to wear one, then wear one. If you don't want to wear one, then don't wear one. They don't work. They don't work. My brother's a chemist down in Georgia. I take his word over any government official, over any CDC idiot. They don't work. And I feel like it's nothing but fear. I feel like the government and these states and these governors and all these fucking government officials, they're instilling fear in the general populace. That's what the masks are. The masks are a symbol of fear. But I'm no idiot either. I get it. It's going to be part of our everyday society. That's why I made masks for everybody to buy with the off-the-script logo on it. If you got to wear them, which apparently now is going to be mandatory in some counties, you might as well wear and support who you support. So that's why they're available. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. Go and get your mask today. It's going to be interesting to see WWE come Monday when they got to tape for Raw and SmackDown if there will be masks, being that now it is an executive order by Jerry Demings, the mayor of Orlando County, or Orange County, rather, in Florida. It's going to be interesting. Will WWE listen, or will they march to the beat of their own drum and live in a world where the pandemic doesn't exist, the virus doesn't exist? We'll see what happens. WWE teases the next possible feud for Randy Orton on Monday Night Raw. And I'm telling you right now, this doesn't sound good whatsoever. Randy Orton punted Christian on Raw in the main event. Punt kick to the head. Now, we don't know if Christian is going to be on the shelf short term or he's going to be back at Extreme Rules to go one-on-one with Randy Orton to continue the feud with Edge until Edge comes back. We don't know. We don't even know if Edge is cleared. Oh, no, Edge is not cleared right now because he's injured. We don't know if Christian is cleared or not to be back in the ring. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe more news will be uncovered about Christian as the days go on. Edge is legitimately injured, though. But Christian doesn't appear to actually be injured. He's not cleared, but WWE may end up clearing him. The angle, obviously, was to continue to get Orton over as a massive heel. It also appears we're getting a 2020 version of the legend killer Randy Orton. So what do you do when you have one injured legend and another who could have just been written off television to sell the further effects of this storyline? Who could Orton face next? Well, it could be the Big Show. Well, it's the Big Slow. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see the Big Show. The only reason I would like to see the Big Show in affiliation to anything that I do, maybe he could help me get through a raid in Destiny. He's a big Destiny guy. But he's a Titan main. So I don't really give a shit about the Big Show. I don't. Or maybe, is he a Titan? I don't even know if he is. Maybe he's a Hunter main. If he's a Hunter main, then I actually have a little bit more respect for the Big Show. I do believe he's against Titans. I got to do my research on that. At least, that seems to be what WWE is teasing. On Raw Talk this Monday, Big Show had the following to say, and I quote, and believe me, folks, if you're eating anything or drinking anything, this might have a Robert Stone-like effect on you from NXT on Wednesday. I'm not the guy for Randy Orton to talk trash to. I didn't know Randy Orton talked trash to the Big Show. When did that happen? I'm not the guy for Randy Orton to step up to. I don't want you to be that guy. I'm not scared of Randy Orton. I'm scared of you and Randy Orton in the ring on Monday in 2020. I know Randy Orton. I'm not afraid of Randy. Randy better be afraid of me. Great. Bruce is asked the question from McMahon. Hey, Bruce, Edge is hurt. Christian's not cleared. What do we do here? Hey, Vince, how about we go with the Big Show on Raw in 2020 against Orton? That'll be a ratings draw. Fuck the younger talent. Now, I gave you a beautiful storyline on Friday's show. If the Big Show is the best that these people can come up with, you're working out of the centralized location in Florida for WWE. Why aren't you using someone like Tommaso Ciampa? Why? Why are you not using him? I don't understand the logic behind that. A, Randy Orton and Ciampa went into business for themselves. They were selling a back-and-forth confrontation over NXT, the leader of the locker room in Ciampa, and we got Randy Orton making fun of NXT and making fun of what they do and the leg slaps and this and that. His wife even got involved. So why not bring him up to Monday Night Raw to feud with Randy Orton? You know, he looked at Edge, did Ciampa. He looked at Edge as an inspiration. And I said this a couple of times this past week. He looked at Edge as an inspiration. If there's anybody that you should be targeting, it should be a younger guy that was influenced by Edge and looked at him as an inspiration to come back from an injury, similar to what Edge had. Why aren't you using that to build NXT, to build Ciampa to the main roster audience? And again, circle back to building up NXT and bringing some more eyes to NXT. Now, if you wanted to bring Randy Orton to an NXT to sell this match and have it happen on NXT soil, I think that's desperation. If WWE did it the way that I'm projecting, it actually would be a lot more logical. It would show that they're actually taking some stance here and putting some effort into the situation instead of relying on Christian. We'll use another legend in this role. Now that Christian is not cleared, we'll use yet another legend in this role. First of all, the Big Show and Randy Orton, I don't know who could possibly be interested in that heaping pile of garbage feud. Yeah, Big Show's a legend, but that doesn't mean, he's the only one available here to sell the fact that he is a legend killer, Randy Orton. I don't understand that. Who said you have to go back to the legend killer Randy Orton anyway? The legend killer gimmick with Randy Orton worked when he was younger. Randy Orton is a legend in his own right. He doesn't need to kill any more legends. It was a great tool for building himself up on the WWE roster and through the WWE hierarchy. Now he's already at the top. Now he's got to just shove it in the young kid's face. You want to stick up for your buddy Edge, right? He's your little inspiration and influence. I'll take care of you, bro. Why doesn't WWE go and make sense of the story instead of actually taking 4 or 5 steps backwards and giving us something that we don't want or that we asked for? I really don't understand that. So it seems like Randy Orton is being set up eventually to go up against the Big Show. Now, the Big Show could be the next legend to feel the wrath of Randy Orton. Ric Flair is going to be on Monday Night Raw to pretty much proclaim that Randy Orton is the greatest pro wrestler in the industry, in the world. Don't know how they're going to make sense of that, but okay. There's no real money in an Orton-Big Show feud in 2020. Like I said, you're taking 4 or 5 steps backwards. And it's not even going to sustain the feud until Edge comes back. Nobody cares. It's WWE absolutely showing you there's no effort in anything that they do, no creativity in anything that they do if they go with the Big Show. It's going to be interesting to see what WWE does. The Big Show was clearly brought back to TV for a reason. For a reason. What that reason is, I don't know. Also, it sure seems like Randy's being set up to eventually go up against the WWE Champion, right? This is what I also mentioned. Randy Orton could easily be slotted as the next guy in line for Drew McIntyre. But that is too outside the box for WWE. They would rather bury Bobby Lashley on back-to-back nights in WWE Championship opportunities. And don't tell me MVP was pinned. Oh, but JD MVP was pinned in that tag team match on Monday Night Raw, where the WWE title and the 24/7 title were on the line. But Bobby Lashley was still a part of that. He was still affiliated with that match. So, in my eyes, Lashley was a part of 2 WWE Championship matches back-to-back, and in both times he was a loser. No more opportunities for you. Randy Orton could be the next guy. I even said, now I'm not for it, because I've been advocating for Drew to hold the title all year and build a credible reign that sustains him as a true champion. I want him to slay everybody. But if there's one guy right now you could make a case for to take the title off of Drew McIntyre, it would be Randy Orton. Randy Orton could be the guy. Does he want to be the guy? Probably not. But WWE isn't touring now. Randy Orton can be. He's on TV every week now, almost every week now anyway. So why not make him the champion? He doesn't have to be a touring champion. He didn't want to be WWE champion because he don't want to show up on the house shows every single night. But we're not touring now. Now would be a better time than ever to make Randy Orton the WWE champion and sell Orton as the guy until Edge comes back, and then who knows? Maybe Edge can come back and give us another match with Randy Orton that he gave us at Backlash for the WWE Championship. Wouldn't that really have everything come full circle? In the absence of Edge, while Randy Orton injured Edge in the greatest wrestling match ever, Randy Orton went on to win the WWE Championship. I mean, if you're calling Randy Orton the greatest wrestler ever, kind of makes sense that you give him the WWE Championship, right? Because if you're the best wrestler ever, you're pretty much telling me that Randy Orton's the best wrestler on Raw. And the best wrestler should always be, the best wrestler at the time, should always be the WWE Champion. So WWE is pretty much paving the road for themselves to do that and have it make sense. And then Edge comes back and wins the WWE Championship. How long he holds it, who cares? But it makes for a great story. That is possible. Do I want to see that happen? No, I would rather Drew McIntyre be the guy. I don't think you should take the title off of him after you gave him so much going into WrestleMania. But if you want to take the title off of him, Randy Orton's the guy. That's just my take on it. So we'll see what happens. One thing is for sure, though, he will definitely, the Big Show rather, he's going, because he was a heel going into WrestleMania. He was a heel going into WrestleMania in that token return against Drew McIntyre. Now he's back to being babyface again. Teaming with the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits to battle Akira Tozawa and his Foot Clan. And now he's possibly going up against Randy Orton. So, in 1-2 month time, back, what is this, like the 28th time? He turned heel to babyface with no rhyme or reason. It's like WWE's making it a running gag at this point. Big Show and Randy Orton, no. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, yes. Tommaso Ciampa and Randy Orton, yes. Any of those options work. Big Show doesn't work. The Forgotten Sons may be repackaged on SmackDown. I really don't even give a shit. I don't give a shit. Never mind the Forgotten Sons, the entire tag team division needs to be repackaged. That's exactly what needs to happen. Never mind the fucking Forgotten Sons. Now, there have been talk of a new gimmick for Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake when they return to television. Now, I don't know when they will return to WWE TV, but one person spoke up and said that their current gimmick won't work because of what's going on in the real world with the protests around the country. The Forgotten Sons, Blake, Cutler, and Jackson Ryker were supposed to be in the title picture in a feud with the New Day, but they were pulled from storylines after the backlash directed at Jackson Ryker for his praise of the President of the United States and his comments about Black Lives Matter, where he referred to the movement as garbage in a 2019 Facebook post. As previously noted, there are several wrestlers in the company who were furious when they read Ryker's comments on social media, while a few others were willing to talk to him and try to help him understand why this movement meant so much to them. As of this report, nobody's heard anything yet on if Ryker has reached out to anyone in the locker room who was upset with him. On this week's episode of SmackDown on Friday, Nakamura and Cesaro were inserted into a feud with Big E and Kofi Kingston in place of the Forgotten Sons, who were supposed to be in that role for the Tag Team Championship. Now, Nakamura and Cesaro, nobody expects them to do much of anything. They're lost as well. They had their leader in the quote-unquote artist collective pulled off of TV because he didn't want to come to work. Then they stripped him of the Intercontinental Championship. They actually tried to pair these two guys with Baron Corbin as well, but that didn't work out either. Now they're on their own as a tag team. Now they're trying to sell me on the fact of Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, oh, we've been overlooked. Enough is enough. We deserve respect. 15 years now? Now you're finally speaking up about it. Now WWE wants me to believe that Cesaro and Nakamura deserve this respect. You haven't shown them respect at all. At all. And we all know why they're there anyway. The Forgotten Sons were supposed to be there. Cesaro and Nakamura aren't even a real tag team. And they're slotted in this position as a plan B, just to get them through the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. It would be not a wise decision to put the titles on Nakamura and Cesaro because nobody takes them to be a serious threat. You've booked them like garbage. This is the same thing with Bobby Lashley. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you have him beat up somebody and portray him as a monster and you pair him with MVP, I'm not going to forget the 3 years that you've buried Bobby Lashley. Now, all of a sudden, because you need top contenders for Drew McIntyre during his reign as WWE Champion, now you want to sell me on Bobby Lashley? If Lashley was any type of threat that you see now in the last 3 years to you, you wouldn't have booked him like garbage. Same thing with Nakamura and same thing with Cesaro. I'm not buying it. I'm not an idiot. I'm not some 12-year-old fucking cretin on social media who's gonna sit there and just take whatever WWE offers them. This is not good writing. It is not good television. Forget the Forgotten Sons being repackaged. You need to repackage the entire tag team division. Because right now, it is absolutely at the bottom of the barrel, worst I've ever seen it. And we'll talk about what Monday Night Raw is doing to put a very, very small kitty-like Band-Aid on their tag team division a little bit later in the show. But I mentioned this yesterday, the Forgotten Sons being repackaged. I would not be surprised. Will they be with Jackson Ryker? Probably not. We don't know what's going to happen with Jackson Ryker. All I know is I don't care to see Jackson Ryker in a one-on-one situation because the guy sucks. He didn't do anything in NXT. He's not going to do anything on the main roster at all. Cutler and Blake, I think they're a very good tag team. They really opened my eyes during the last Dusty Tag Team Classic. Actually, the last two Dusty Tag Team Classics. So I don't really expect much out of Ryker, but Blake and Cutler, they could go on to be a very good tag team if given the opportunity. So I'll keep an eye on this situation. The Forgotten Sons may be legitimately forgotten, meaning the gimmick is dead. Which superstars are safe after Paul Heyman being fired from Raw? That is the next story here on the podcast. Heyman, obviously, you guys know, don't need to go over it again. Fired from Monday Night Raw. Out goes Heyman, in comes Bruce. Heyman had his select guys and women backstage that he wanted to push on Monday Night Raw. There are people right now without Heyman there that are worried about their position on Raw and worried about the TV time that they were promised and now may never get with Bruce in charge. Now, Heyman was pushing guys like Humberto Carrillo, the Street Profits, Zelina Vega, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy. Now that Heyman is no longer around to speak up for them, it is likely that Vince McMahon will have other ideas for this show. During Wrestling Observer Live, Dave Meltzer discussed some of the names that Vince McMahon isn't likely to squash in this new WWE direction as far as creative change on Raw. It should be noted that Vince McMahon will likely push who he wants and then bury who Paul Heyman was pushing, but Vince McMahon clearly has his favorites, Paul Heyman had his favorites, and clearly they don't line up. We talked about this, and some of it you're actually seeing play out on television right now anyway. I think the Drew stuff will stay, says Dave Meltzer. Well, I guess I shouldn't say anything, meaning he doesn't really know. He's just making an assumption. I do think that Randy Orton and Charlotte and Drew McIntyre are going to do well, and Seth Rollins as well. I think aside from that, every single bet is off when it comes to the people on that roster. Some of them are going to do well, and some of them are going to be unhappy. So, man, that was a real inside scoop there by Dave Meltzer. Pretty much what he's telling me is that the established acts will be okay, and everybody else should have their careers, they should be looking at their careers as, well, maybe I need to start coming up with a plan B, C, D, and E, because I don't know how long I could take this shit. How long do I ask Vince McMahon for a move back down to NXT, says Austin Theory. And guys like that, or a Humberto, or a Garza, or an Andrade, or an Aleister Black, or a Ricochet. How long before they ask to be moved back down to good old H? I don't know. But all Meltzer said is, the established names will be fine. He don't even know about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre was a Paul Heyman project. Anything that was a Paul Heyman project, Vince McMahon may be in this mindset, I'm going to get rid of it. I got to change it. It didn't work. Now I'm here with Bruce and we're going to make it work. I hope not, because Drew McIntyre has the capability to be that guy. So we'll see what happens there. Shayna Baszler's another one. Shayna Baszler was big with Paul Heyman. She hasn't been seen since WrestleMania. She's done something. Maybe a match with Natty here or there. But outside that, she isn't even built up as the biggest heel in the women's division. When she was portrayed as the biggest heel coming on in, she's the new woman in town. And quickly, how things changed. Now Nia is the biggest heel on Monday night. Right before Charlotte comes in and takes the title, then she'll be the biggest heel, and Nia will be number 2. Shayna clearly is not going to be the biggest heel over either one of them. Nia is, because of her relations to Dwayne, and then Charlotte, obviously, the favorite blonde by WWE management is Charlotte Flair. Everybody thinks it's Alexa. Management's favorite blonde is not Alexa Bliss, folks. It's Charlotte. On top of Paul Heyman's exit from his executive director role on Raw, Ringside News exclusively reported that they gave a promotion to Ed Koskey to a senior vice president role on WWE's creative team. The company also brought back former head writer, I believe they brought back, his name is Ryan Callahan. They fired him last year, they brought him back. So at that point, people knew that things were going in a completely different direction, being that Ed Koskey got a promotion and WWE rehired somebody that they fired last year. The writing was on the wall for Paul Heyman. McMahon has already made changes, including finishes at Backlash that we talked about on Friday's show, and he's starting to shake things up on Raw, and we don't know where he's going to go into with these plans into Extreme Rules. One of the major things that McMahon and Heyman had different perspectives on is Heyman was willing to build new stars from the ground up and give them time to do so, where McMahon's focus is to use people right now, in the now, who are already stars. So Vince and his vision clearly different from Paul Heyman, which we discussed. And that's that. I feel sorry for everybody that is worrying, but I think everybody does have a right to worry. Because no matter what Heyman tried to do, even Heyman, when he was there, didn't have the power to do it. Heyman was somebody that they trusted, and he spoke to them, and when he spoke to them about what he wanted to do in his vision, it was only words. It's different when you say it, and then not do it. His words never came to life. Vince McMahon, he's going to look at you and realize right then and there whether he wants to push you or not. Everybody that we've come to know and love on this show probably will go away for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time, and you'll wonder where they are. Monday Night Raw is going to be the Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard show for 3 hours, and everything that you've seen with all the young talent blossoming on that show will cease to exist. Maybe one or two will stand out, and the rest won't do anything. The rest will end up being jobbers. And I hate the situation that Monday Night Raw is in right now. More to come on that later on in the show. It's about time we address the elephant in the room, man. WWE had several members of their locker room involved in the speaking out movement before we even get into the WWE side of things. Other promotions as well. It all started with David Starr. I don't know exactly. I didn't research anything on David Starr. He was accused of words that I will not say here on YouTube because I will probably get demonetized. He was accused of doing very bad things to women. That's all I will say. I'm not even a fan of David Starr. I don't give a shit about David Starr. After what I read, he's a piece of shit. I don't give a shit about David Starr. Okay? But it all started with him. And then he ended up deleting his Twitter account. He apologized, he kept apologizing, people didn't believe him. It was a complete shit show on social media. Now, Progress. Let's start with Progress. Progress Wrestling announced suspensions and terminations from the Speaking Out movement. Below is the statement from the Progress Wrestling Company. The last couple of days feel like a watershed moment for the British wrestling scene. Stories being bravely told about abuse that has been suffered within the wrestling business are heartbreaking and eye-opening. We stand with you and we hear you. Please keep speaking out. We spent today, meaning Friday, because that's when all this shit really broke down. We spent Friday consulting with trusted colleagues within the wrestling business about how we can improve our work environment and make it safer for all involved, talent, crew, and fans. These have been incredibly positive discussions, and we are excited to get to work making them a reality. It will take time, but as a wrestling community, we can clean this scene up and make it better and make it safer. From a personal perspective, whether victim, friend, casual acquaintance, or colleague, no one should feel guilty for not seeing the signs of abuse. The nature of the abuser is that they are adept at hiding in plain sight. As a company, we have consistently removed obscene and abusive fans with the aid of our production crew. We have a banned list which gets circulated to all the venues in which we work, so that even if someone on that banned list gets a ticket indirectly, security won't let them in the door. We've been in business for 8 years now. As is to be expected over the course of time, there have been incidences between fans and very occasionally between wrestlers and fans. Where possible, action has been taken. Where appropriate and where a criminal offense may have been committed, we advise these people to take the matter to the police. These approaches will be reviewed and extended with additional support pathways. Progress doesn't have anyone under contract. Everyone who works for the company is freelance. What this means in practice is that when they're on the clock for us, we are ultimately responsible for what they do. Once they left the building, they're an adult and responsible for their own behavior. Thank you for reading. As of this month, we are taking steps to diversify our core team and wider circle to those with whom we consult, and we will learn from this watershed moment. That is what Progress said. Very well written there by Progress. Impact Wrestling released a statement on speaking out. This is a statement from Anthem Sports, and I quote, "It is a core value of Anthem and the organization that we conduct our business with respect and integrity, providing a safe and secure work environment for our employees and performers. We are following carefully the various allegations being made through social media and are reviewing all incidences involving Impact Wrestling talent and personnel to determine an appropriate course of action." All Elite Wrestling, AEW, spoke out about this speaking out movement that took place on Friday that continues on into Saturday in regards to Jimmy Havoc, who was accused of being an abuser as well. amongst other things. Now, what AEW did here is they didn't outright fire Jimmy Havoc for all of the allegations that were brought forth on social media. What they did is what they said in their official statement, and I quote, "We wish Jimmy Havoc all of the best as he receives treatment and counseling in an effort to overcome the mental health and substance abuse challenges in his life. We are aware of various reports related to Jimmy. We are evaluating his status with our company and will address it when he successfully completed his rehabilitation." Meaning, in other words, they fired him, but they didn't fire him. They put him in rehab and sent him to rehab. As information comes in, and they will determine upon investigation whether the information is legit or not to make a further, effort to keep Jimmy on the roster or not. And that's the right way to go about it. In my eyes, that's the right way to go about it. Whereas WWE would have probably just said goodbye, like Jack Gallaher. You're fired, terminated. So AEW is sending him to rehab, and they're doing this in an effort to collect all of the proper information to make a determination on whether he is guilty or innocent, and then at that point, they will officially let him go. So that is AEW. Even AEW fires wrestlers better than WWE. Unbelievable. Matt Riddle is the biggest name. Matt Riddle is the biggest name of all of these. Now, it doesn't matter who the biggest name is or not. All the situations are terrible in their own right. But Matt Riddle is the biggest name because he just made his main roster debut on Friday Night SmackDown. He was accused of a word. He was accused of an action. I will not say here on YouTube because, again, I will be demonetized. It was a very bad action against women. Okay? Right before his SmackDown debut on Fox, WWE has issued a statement on the abuse allegations made concerning Matt Riddle as part of the ongoing Speaking Out movement. Now, this is from a WWN performer, Candy Cartwright, who I believe was a Evolve valet, if I'm not mistaken. Candy Cartwright posted the following thread accusing Riddle of misconduct. The full thread can be read here, and I'm going to read it to you right now on Twitter. "I'm posting this because I've been so sad for so long. I didn't realize that what he did to me was not okay. I realize now, reading these other brave women's stories, that I can't be afraid anymore and I have to speak out. Back in May of 2018, I was riding with Matt Riddle and a few other wrestlers during the van ride. When 3 other wrestlers had fallen asleep, Matt asked me to hop on his, When I refused, although we had previously been together, I was incredibly uncomfortable in that setting. So when I said no, he grabbed me by the throat, choked me, and said, 'What if I just made you?' I ended up giving him oral sex, praying someone wouldn't wake up to get out of having intercourse with him. It was incredibly humiliating. It is never okay to put your hands on a woman. It's also not okay to not listen when she says no." So that is what she said. So pretty much she said, Matt asked me to hop on his dick, is what she said. So, that is what happened there. Now, everybody was blowing this up on social media. WWE issued the following statement to CBS Sports. "We take any allegation of this nature very seriously, and we are looking into the matter. While dozens of names have been mentioned, currently the only statements that have been made so far have come from David Starr, who since deleted his Twitter account, and by WWE regarding allegations of abuse made against Jordan Devlin. That was earlier in the afternoon on Friday. Regarding Devlin, there was a Twitter user named Hannah, who wrote the following. 'This is scary. I'm really scared. Jordan Devlin did this to me, and this is just the physical damage.' And then she proceeded to show bruises, and she showed pictures of her bruising, and I guess her being abused by Devlin. Now, I don't want to say that these allegations are true or these allegations are bullshit, but we don't really know the nature of the pictures, and I want to make sure everybody understands that. All because you see something on Twitter people think that it's automatically true. As soon as it gets sent to Twitter, everybody is guilty and charged as guilty. That's not the right way to go about it. Now, we don't know where these pictures were taken. We don't know how these incidences happened. Maybe she took pictures and posted them on Twitter from her training, and it was bruises from her training. We don't know. People are jumping to conclusions that Devlin did this. This is why proper investigation is needed. This is why the WWE needs to get involved and sort out all of the proper information and make a determination upon all the information being collected. We don't know. All because it's being seen on Twitter and being written on Twitter doesn't necessarily mean that that is it and nothing else needs to be done. No actions need to be taken because it's on Twitter. That's it. It's not the case. Now, not including my ass and back bruises, she says, because I don't fancy posting that online. Then she posted several images showing bruising all over her body, which she claims was caused by Devlin. WWE issued the following statement in regards to these allegations against Devlin. We take any allegation of this nature very seriously, and we are looking into the matter. That's all they said. Now, as soon as I hear anything about this stuff, I'll let you guys know. I don't have any information. Nobody has any information collected on this. It's just on Twitter. And it's just being reported by all of the various dirt sheets in the community. We don't have any other information as of right now regarding any of this. Now, Pete Dunn, he was not involved in any of this nonsense, but he spoke up. He's been very vocal in showing his support to the victims who are sharing these stories of abuse through the Speaking Out movement. Now, Pete Dunn and Matt Riddle were a tag team in NXT. And Matt Riddle was accused by indie wrestler Candy Cartwright, that I just mentioned before, of forcing himself upon her. As of this report, Riddle has not, as of the time I actually compiled this news, did not respond to this accusation. He did so later on in the afternoon before SmackDown, and again this morning, where he posted very sarcastically a picture of him and his wife having a cold drink at a restaurant in Florida after his successful win over AJ Styles. I think the best course of action for Matt Riddle is to not do that and stay off of social media until WWE resolves this, hopefully with positive in his favor. Now, Pete Dunn and Matt Riddle were a tag team. He's been very vocal about all of this. A fan brought Cartwright's accusations against Riddle to Pete Dunn's attention. Dunn responded by saying he's shocked and disgusted after hearing these stories come up on Twitter. He says this, and I quote, "I'm shocked and disgusted by what I'm hearing across the board, whether it's friends, tag partners, or anyone else, and I'm listening to everything. And just to add, of course, I don't know the ins and outs of any claims being made about anyone unless there is clear proof. I'm reading for the first time like everyone else, but I want wrestling to be a much safer place, and I'm keeping up to date and speaking out the best that I can." End quote. He said that he is listening to every story, even if they are about his tag team partners or friends. Now, Pete Dunn also clarified he doesn't know the ins and outs of Cartwright's accusations because he, just like others, are reading them online. We don't have any other information. Same thing with Devlin. We are seeing the pictures online. But how could you prove something like that when nobody was there? This was an instance between Devlin and this other Twitter user, Hannah. That was a private moment between those two people. We don't know what happened in that situation. We don't know when those pictures were taken. We don't know the nature of those pictures. Everything on Twitter needs to be evaluated. Simple. Now, leaked DMs with Matt Riddle being released on Twitter by a random Twitter account show Matt Riddle denying these accusations. He had a very precise and unexpected reason why his accuser would make up this story. He says, "Why does anybody lie? She's been harassing me for years. I've had to change my number 3 times, and I almost got a restraining order against her, but I didn't want to ruin her career. My lawyer and WWE are already in motion to press charges for defamation of character and cyberstalking/bullying. But believe who you want, bro. Why listen to logic or facts? Another DM showed Lisa Riddle, his wife, replying to a question about these allegations. She backed up her husband's claim of almost filing a restraining order against Candy Cartwright. Yeah, that is not true. She is seriously a psycho-obsessed person. So much to the point where we almost got a restraining order against her last year, and Matt had to change his number twice. Additionally, Ringside News was sent another DM showing a conversation with Riddle. In the screenshot, Riddle says, "Bro, I didn't do anything. This is insane." WWE then issued a longer statement regarding the allegations made about Matt Riddle. Riddle is scheduled, obviously, to be a main roster stay on SmackDown. He had his match with AJ Styles on Friday. WWE, in light of these allegations, pulled Riddle and the hype packages and the hype around Matt Riddle's debut from all of their social media. So this is what their statement said, WWE's official statement on Matt Riddle, and anybody in this situation dealing with this, their official statement reads as follows. And I quote, "Individuals are responsible for their own personal actions. WWE has zero tolerance for matters involving domestic violence, child abuse, and sexual assault. Upon arrest for such misconduct, a WWE talent will immediately be suspended. Upon conviction for such misconduct, a WWE talent will immediately be terminated." Now, obviously, this is quite funny with the Jack Gallaher situation, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Several WWE NXT UK stars are coming forward with statements on the allegations made against them. Now, we know Jordan Devlin. He actually spoke up and said this on social media in regards to what he's being accused of. "I didn't even want to address the hurtful allegation made against me. But for the sake of my followers and friends on this platform that may, for whatever reason, be unsure, I'm going to address this once. The recent allegations made against me are completely and utterly false, and I deny it entirely. This is a case of malicious personal agenda being executed against me on the back of a very brave telling of true experiences by other women. I completely denounce it. This is all I will say on the matter, and I am now working with a legal team to help decide how we proceed from there." Ligero on WWE's roster, NXT UK's roster, has responded to accusations of misconduct with trainees. He said this on social media, and I quote, "The current story that has been released by Violet O'Hara and Claire Michelle Oldfield is neither accurate nor true. This is completely false, and these allegations are false, and while I've done other things in my life that I deeply regret, this isn't an accurate or truthful portrayal of events. This is something I strongly deny, and is something I've been in the process of speaking to a legal team about. I have no justification of my actions in the slightest. In these situations, I have failed people as a friend, as a fiancé, and as a decent human being. Regarding the other statements from people like Laura, Natalie, who have spoken out about the way they were made to feel, and others that have come forward about unwanted messages, I have no excuse. It's inappropriate. It's an embarrassment, and it's an absolute shameful way to act from someone in a position of trust. I sincerely apologize for my actions and any hurt I've caused. I have no justifications for my actions in the slightest. In these situations, I have failed people as a friend, as a fiancé, and as a decent human being." That is what he stated on his Twitter account. Now, there are other stories about Travis Banks as well coming out of NXT UK. I don't have that listed here, but apparently he was training some females at his school and things didn't go right. So clearly he got called out for that as well. Stalking and just all of that stuff, the nature of that, not good whatsoever for Travis Banks either. WWE, upon all of this news, released Jack Gallaher. Jack Gallaher was accused as well. They released Jack Gallaher. This news came via a statement on WWE.com. Simply stated, they don't even wish him well in his future endeavors. WWE has come to terms on the release of Jack Gallaher. Jack Claffey is his real name. Now, the release comes after allegations that he committed assault on females. As previously noted, dozens of people in the wrestling business have been accused of various things over the last 24 to 48 hours. Speaking Out movement has inspired people to speak out against alleged abusers. The movement was sparked after David Starr was accused of the R word on Wednesday. So that is that. Now, let me go back and read what WWE's statement here was following the Riddle situation. WWE talents will immediately be suspended upon arrest for misconduct. Upon conviction for misconduct, WWE talent will be immediately terminated. Jack Gallaher was terminated. Now, a lot of people were probably... By the way, the one that spoke out about Jack Gallaher, her Twitter account is now private. It is locked on Twitter. Now, I don't really get the situation with Jack Gallaher. It's either one of two things. One, WWE wanted to make an example out of him and kind of instill fear in everybody else that this could be coming to them as well. That they will not tolerate this shit. They made an example out of him. That's it. It's over. Or the situation with Jack Gallaher was so damning and they actually knew this and they did their research on it and they concluded that it was something that needed to happen. They just sent him on his way. So it's either one of two things. They wanted to make an example out of him with really no information whatsoever and kind of instilled fear in the rest of the guys that are going through this shit right now. And this is what the end result could be. And they realized, well, Jack Gallaher was not doing much of anything anyway, and this is just another excuse to cut payroll. Goodbye. We'll use him as a black sheep in this situation. Or it was another situation in which that all the information that they collected was legit, and they just let him go. Because why else would they fire him? Now, for everybody that's upset about Jack Gallaher being fired, I mean, you got to think realistically of the situation. Well, JD, why is Jack Gallaher being fired, but Riddle's not being fired, or Jordan Devlin's not fired, or this guy's not being fired? Velveteen Dream is not fired. Guys, there's a hierarchy in WWE. Jack Gallaher and Matt Riddle could do the same thing. WWE is going to let Jack Gallaher go because there's no fucking emotional ties there to Jack Gallaher. Matt Riddle is of a different status in WWE. They're going to conduct an investigation, and they're going to follow standard WWE protocol with something like that because of his status in the company. Jack Gallaher had no status in the company. So it's not really something that really needs to be argued or something where you need to be asking questions. Well, why is Jack Gallaher on WWE, shit list now, fired, and Matt Riddle still on TV? It's just one of those situations that is staring you right in the face. You know exactly what it is and why it happened. Now, is the information against Jack Gallaher out there legit? Maybe. Maybe that's the reason for his termination. Could it be a situation where WWE is using him as an example for the rest of everybody else on their roster that's been accused? Yes. We don't know. All we know is that Jack Gallaher is terminated. Is it fucked up? Yes, it really is fucked up without the proper investigation. We don't know what had happened, what's true, what's not true with Jack Gallaher. They just let him go. It is a fucked up situation, but this is business. Matt Riddle's on TV, and Jordan Devlin's going to be back on TV, and they're going to continue picking up where they left off because they are of a bigger status in the WWE. Jack Gallaher is not. Plain and simple. Now, this is all I have. Really. The most damning of this situation is the Velveteen Dream situation, which I don't even want to talk about because I just don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions on Patrick Clark. I don't. But in light of all of this, two more people came forward with the allegations about the Velveteen Dream. Patrick Clark. Josh Fuller, an independent wrestler, has come forward with new allegations on Velveteen Dream. Patrick Clark. Fuller is also backing up allegations made in April, where Dream accused him of sending explicit photos of himself to someone who is under the age of 18. The alleged victim says the photo was also sent to friends 15 and 16 years of age. Dream later issued a statement denying the allegations. Fuller is alleging that Dream is a groomer and he is a predator. He produced some screenshots that he says are of conversations with himself and Dream. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the Velveteen Dream. You guys want to go look this up for yourself? You can certainly go Google Velveteen Dream, and it'll be the first thing that pops up. I'm looking at screenshots of the Velveteen Dream's Twitter account, check mark next to his name. I'm looking at DMs. I'm looking at photos via text. I'm looking at Instagram private messages with the blue check mark on Instagram, Dream WWE. I'm looking at it all right now. And this is from Josh Fuller, independent pro wrestler Josh Fuller. I don't know. Very, very illicit conversations had between these two. Some of them were back in 2016. And now they're coming to light now. It continued on for the next couple of years as well. I don't want to make assumptions about the Velveteen Dream because we made assumptions about Enzo Amore as well. And Enzo was ended up innocent in the entire situation. I don't want to sit here and spew misinformation on anybody. I'm simply reading what everybody else is reading in the community. And I don't want to jump to conclusions because the proper information has not been revealed yet. All I could tell you is that the acts that are being talked about, the stories that are being told, are fucked up. They are completely fucked up. Now, I don't want to sit here and act all righteous because every single one of us have made a mistake in their life. Every single one of us has made a mistake that we either A, regret and never wanted to go back to, or B, made a mistake that's continuing to still haunt you to this day. Back from your past. You might have said something, you might have did something that people just will not let you live down. Everybody has gone through that at least once in their life. Everybody. Each individual case is separate, okay? Some of these cases are probably, I don't want to say they're either true or bullshit. But I will say that all the proper information needs to be uncovered before we make any just action here. Before we take any just action. Before we label innocent or guilty on anybody. There needs to be proper investigations and there needs to be the proper information in place for you to make that sort of determination. I wasn't there for any of this. You weren't there. We don't know. The Twitter police were out in full force last night. Going on into this morning. Okay? As soon as it goes to Twitter, everybody's automatically guilty. You cannot act like that. It is okay to speak out about anything that has been just festering on the inside that you felt like you were wronged with or wronged for. A situation that you were put in that you felt afraid to speak out on. I commend everybody that has held this in for years and were afraid to talk about it. And it's not about, well, why didn't these people come and mention this beforehand? Why did they sit on it for years? Why were these people so afraid then and they're not afraid now? You know? It's not about that situation. That is a terrible question to ask anybody. How about I ask you the question of why are you being a fucking asshole? Seriously. Why are you such an asshole is a better question. Why aren't you a decent human being? You know? So, if you were a decent human being, nobody would be in this situation to begin with. Now, in Riddle's case, it clearly fucking sucks. We just watched this guy debut. He had a great debut, probably better than a lot of people recently, in recent WWE memory, and it just fucking sucks with the timing of it all. WWE pulled his spot on social media from all of their platforms in regard to his debut on Friday night. His segment was taped on Monday. They clearly left it in the show. He beat AJ Styles, one of the most respected performers in the entire industry, on his first match on the main roster on SmackDown. I am along with all of you and are simply taking this all in and watching as every story unfolds. I have sung Riddle's praises since he's arrived in WWE, so obviously I support him as a pro wrestler. But I am a human being first, and what he and others are being convicted of or accused of is fucking sick. It's wrong, and it has no place anywhere in our society. Now, the Velveteen Dream situation is another story completely. I don't even know how to approach that story. That seems to be just on another level itself, you know? It's not a situation where he could just lose his job. He's going to lose his job. He's going to lose his reputation. He's going to lose his fucking life over this shit. He may be imprisoned if convicted over this shit. Really. I don't even know how to talk about it. I'm just going to let it be until nature takes its course on that one. I hope it's not true. I've respected him and I've loved his growth in the business from what we've watched. But that's on another level. I don't think anybody could really respect Patrick Clark or even have a thought of Patrick Clark in a positive way after the situation that we're in now becomes a reality, if it becomes a reality. All I can say is, if true, it's very disappointing. And that man will never be looked at the same ever again. His life, career, will be at the point of no return. WWE has a storyline in place right now with the Velveteen Dream and Dexter Lumis, currently on NXT TV. It needs to be postponed. It needs to be taken off of TV for the time being. It's in WWE's best interest to keep him off of TV, to save their face, and to save Patrick Clark until he is hopefully proved to be innocent in this entire situation. Every single week, it's something new, especially with the women in the community and the women in the sport of pro wrestling. There's no respect for the women in the locker room. And it's not because, of what they do in the ring. This goes beyond what they do in the ring. People like me, people like others in the community, we critique the product. It's never meant to be damning on them as individuals, okay? But there is no respect for women in the business in general, as far as a human fucking place in society. Women are looked down upon in the pro wrestling realm. If you were a decent human being and you knew how difficult it was for a woman to succeed in a male-dominated sport, you would have the same level of respect for them as you would any man coming in trying to do the same thing. You're all on this journey together. It doesn't give you the right to take advantage of somebody for any given reason. People who achieve any type of success or fame, not just in pro wrestling, but in life, you use it in a way to take advantage of people, feeling as if you do, you can do whatever you want because you are of a higher status than you were before. You instantly become power hungry. With no care or respect for anybody around you, you think you're entitled to literally everyone and everything. That mentality needs to end. Wrestling needs to be a place where people can come to live out their dream, do what they love most in this life. And for us fans, wrestling is one of the most universally loved things that I've ever been around. And now that I do this for a living, I see it more and more every single day. The influence that pro wrestling has on people. New bonds are formed. New friendships are formed. And they're made easily through the love of pro wrestling. And it's something that I cherish. I've met some of the best people I've ever come across doing what I do. And that's because of pro wrestling. It's easy for people to understand because we all love the same thing. It speaks to us in the same language. Wrestling has no color. Wrestling has no different language. It's one universal love is pro wrestling. And a lot of people this year, they've fallen out of love with pro wrestling. A lot of people this week have fallen out of love with something that they once loved in pro wrestling. Wrestling is always going to be near and dear to my heart. But to these people, to these performers, it's something now that will be looked at as jaded. It's not going to be looked at as the same. What once was a passion to these women, it's not going to be a passion anymore. Wrestling needs to be a place for women to come to and feel safe and respected. Every wrestling school should have at least one female teacher, one female mentor, teaching the men and the women of that certain school. I don't know why this particular thing hasn't been done, especially on the indies, but women need separate locker rooms from the men, separate changing rooms from the men. Any female act that is performing on a show should be protected by said company or promoter. It's not that difficult to be a good human being. It's not difficult of a situation to be a trusting, caring person, especially when these men and women or any performer that is on your said show has so much trust in you already to begin with before they even walked in the door. This is going to be a tough one and a tough situation to kind of maneuver through. It really is. The saying is, when there is smoke, there is fire. Some of these stories may burn out. Some of them may fizzle out, and we may never hear of these stories ever again. Some of them may continue to burn, and the entire community will be set on fire. For the most serious accusations against these performers, I truly hope that not just in the UK, but everywhere, I hope the authorities get involved, as they are now in the United Kingdom, no matter if it's the accused or the accuser. If someone is lying, they need to be punished properly. And that is all I will say on this situation. That is how I genuinely feel. I've never once in my entire life, being where I am in the community and being where I am where I work, no matter what show I've been to, I never looked at somebody less than me. That needs to come to an end. I hate hearing this shit. I hate hearing these stories. We just need to be better. It doesn't take a lot to be a decent human being. Man, it's the summertime, and I know you're going to be going out a lot more often this summer. I want you guys to look in your pockets. What type of wallet are you guys carrying around with you? If it ain't the Ridge, you ain't doing the summer right this year, man. This video is brought to you by the one, the only, the Ridge wallet. It's light, it's sleek, and industrial. It doesn't fold or awkwardly bulge in your back pocket, and it seriously changed my entire outlook on my wallet game. Most people are still using wallets from the 1990s, carrying around old receipts, old pictures, old gift cards, hotel room keys. One big unorganized mess. Why have we moved on from flip phones to smartphones but still carry around the same wallet from the 90s? Now, I love the Ridge wallet, man. I love that it doesn't scratch. I love that it doesn't bend. It doesn't fold. I love that it looks great. I got my forged carbon Ridge wallet. And the best thing I love about the Ridge wallet is the fact that it's got RFID blocking quality, so I know my credit card information, my debit card information, and my ID information is safe and secure. Other features on the Ridge wallet that you might like. It holds up to 12 cards, plus room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber, burnt titanium, and like I said, my favorite of them all, the forged carbon. I love it. Don't take my word for it, though. But 30,000 five-star reviews. So they have a lot to be confident about. The durable materials mean each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You could buy one wallet, one Ridge wallet, and carry it around for the rest of your life. The Ridge team is so confident that you'll like it, they will even allow you to test drive it for 45 days, and you can send it back. If you don't like it, why you wouldn't like it, I don't know. If you don't like it, you can send it back and get a full refund. Make sure you guys go to our unique link, ridge.com/script. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns. Ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout, and I want to thank them for being a great friend and a sponsor of the podcast all summer long, right here on Off the Script. All right, man, moving on with the rest of the show here. Going into the Monday Night Raw news and rumors. Raw rating is in. Slight increase from Monday's show. This Monday's episode of Raw on June 15th drew a 1.36 rating the day after the WWE Backlash pay-per-view, up from last week's 1.28. It is the highest ratings since the 1.47 on May 11th. Raw opened with a first-hour viewership of 1.996 million viewers, then drew to 1.966 million in the second hour and dropped to a 1.838 million in the third hour. It dropped 144,000 from the first to third hour, nearly half of the average of 2020 so far. That drop-off has only been under 150,000 twice this year. Now, WWE, they kind of went through two big storylines that paid off in the third hour. They gave you the Randy Orton and Christian situation, continuing from what Randy Orton and Edge did at Backlash. Drew McIntyre also agreeing to put his WWE Championship on the line against Bobby Lashley, an MVP in a tag team match with his partner R-Truth. With either one of them getting pinned or submitted, it would cost him the WWE Championship. And then obviously Christian confronting Randy Orton in an unsanctioned match at the end of the show. Those were the two big hooks on Monday nights over the 3 hours. In the 18 to 49 demographic, Raw's 3 hours finished number 4, number 6, and number 7 in the cable rankings of all shows on Monday night. TLC's 90 Day Fiancé and Bravo's Below the Deck topped Raw. 1 year ago, this week's Raw drew a 1.63 rating. 2 years ago, it drew a 1.97. And 3 years ago, it drew a 2.05. Not good. Just looking back at the history of Monday Night Raw over the last 3 years, not good, to say the least. The 18 to 34 male demographic drew a 0.27 last Monday, down from 0.60 1 year ago this week. In the 18 to 49 adult demographic, Raw drew a 0.53, down from 0.71 a year ago this week. That report comes from the Observer, Wrestling Observer newsletter, and Brian Alvarez, Dave Meltzer. Now, Monday Night Raw, just to quickly go over what happened, we talked about the Randy Orton, Tommaso Ciampa idea that I had. Not necessarily a big fan of the Christian idea, challenging him in light of his best friend. I don't really care about that whatsoever. I just don't have any interest in it. And I don't think this needs to be the main thing on the show when you have the WWE Championship right now that is being pictured and portrayed as the third most important thing on the show. I feel like the WWE Championship should be the most important thing on your show, and it's not. It's not. Everything else seems to be more important than the WWE Championship or the story between Drew McIntyre and whomever for the WWE Championship. Kevin Owens defeated Angel Garza. This really doesn't mean much of anything, being that Kevin Owens now is going to be out for an extended period of time because he will not show up to the WWE Performance Center after what happened this week with the CV19 testing and someone testing positive. So he's home. I read that story on Friday's show of Off the Script in part 1. He defeated Angel Garza. Bobby Lashley told Lana he wanted a divorce. Big Show was brought back to the show because Bruce, he helped the Viking Prophets, or the Street Vikings, the Street Raiders, I'm assuming. He helped them fight off Akira Tozawa and his Foot Clan of ninjas on Raw, which now will lead to R-Truth defending the 24/7 title against Akira Tozawa and his ninjas on Raw. I can't wait to not watch. Dominic Mysterio got one up on Seth Rollins and his disciples. Now he is physically there in the flesh in this storyline, so it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that. The Moronics defeated Natalya and Liv Morgan. They're getting a tag team championship opportunity on Monday. I don't really give a shit. I would not be surprised if WWE takes the tag team titles off of Sasha and Bayley, being that they got their one token match on NXT this week against Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart. Nobody cares. Apollo Crews dragged Shelton Benjamin out of catering and gave him a United States Championship opportunity, and that was that. Apollo Crews defeated Shelton Benjamin. I got news on both Apollo and Shelton Benjamin in just a little bit. WWE Champion Drew McIntyre and R-Truth defeated Bobby Lashley and MVP. This was a WWE Championship opportunity for Bobby Lashley. No more. No more. Oh, but JD, MVP was pinned. No more. It's over. And by the way, I'm going to say this once and I'm going to say it again. Bobby Lashley was never meant to be taken seriously after being buried for 3 years. Simple. The WWE Championship and Drew McIntyre deserve better, especially after what we've seen on Monday. So we got that. We got Asuka and Nia Jax. Nia Jax continues to be protected for some reason, and my issues are not with Nia Jax being protected because of Nia Jax and who she is and what her status is in the WWE. WWE's protecting Nia Jax because of Charlotte. Asuka is the most dominant woman in WWE, modern era. And that's even greater than Charlotte and the influence that she's had. Okay? The fact that Asuka, we all know, could take down Nia Jax in the blink of an eye, yet she can't find a way to beat this woman clean is just, it is bizarre. Now, why would WWE continue to protect Nia Jax, especially against the Raw Women's Champion? You're not making Asuka look good. You're not making the championship look good. But you're protecting Nia Jax, and you're preventing Asuka from doing something we all know that she could do against Nia Jax, and that is beat her single-handedly without any effort whatsoever. Why are they doing that? Because WWE is setting this up for Nia Jax to continuously get screwed over, where she gets another opportunity. Charlotte, I am sure, is going to... You know, a lot of people think that Charlotte's going to beat Asuka on Monday. I don't think that's the case. I honestly think we get a fuck finish on Monday and we get Nia Jax in this match. If Nia Jax has been screwed out of this championship twice now, back-to-back nights, on Backlash Sunday, and then again on Monday, this past Monday, you don't think Nia Jax is going to have an issue with Charlotte taking the title off of Asuka? Doesn't Nia Jax, per story, to me anyway, I don't know what you guys think about it, don't you think that Nia Jax wants to be the one to beat Asuka? So obviously she's going to have a part in this match. If I can't do it, then Charlotte can't do it. Boom. Triple threat match. Triple threat match. And then at that point, Asuka will be the one who looks weak. The title will look weak. Asuka will look weak. Charlotte will pin Nia at the pay-per-view, become the women's champion. Charlotte gets another token title reign. Asuka is going to chase the title all the way through SummerSlam. Am I close? Am I in the ballpark? I think I am. Grand Slam. Randy Orton punt-kicked Christian to win their unsanctioned match. Ric Flair low-blowed Christian, and that served as the catalyst for the punt kick. And then come Monday, we are going to have a celebration of Ric Flair and Randy Orton, where Ric Flair is going to claim that Randy Orton is the greatest wrestler ever. And that's that. Championship Monday, folks. We got Charlotte versus Asuka. We got the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders finally in a standard tag team match. And then we have the 24/7 championship being defended. As if anybody cares. R-Truth against Akira Tozawa. Raw was garbage. Everybody was like, oh, but Raw was up this week. Oh, but Raw continued storylines. You watch one of my shows, man, I'll make you look like a blithering idiot. Raw was trash. Everybody's like, oh, this isn't up for Raw. This is Raw on the right direction. I didn't notice anything different on this show than I watched the last couple of Raws, the last 3 months of Raws. What was the difference? Absolutely nothing. Nothing was changed. It's all the same shit. AEW Dynamite and NXT report with no NASCAR competition. This comes from Meltzer and Alvarez, by the way. AEW Dynamite on TNT was up this week, averaging 772,000 viewers. That's up 14% from last week, and is Dynamite's second best showing in terms of total viewers since March 25. In the 18 to 49 demo, Dynamite finished 8th on cable with a 0.28 rating, up 21.7% from the previous week. On the USA Network, ratings were also up with NXT. The show averaged 746,000 viewers, which is a 10.8% increase from the last week. In the 18 to 49 demo, NXT finished 25th for the night, higher than it usually does, with a 0.20 rating. NXT's viewership was the highest for the show since February 19th. The demo rating matched the best total since March 11th. The total Wednesday night audience was 1.518 million viewers combined between the two shows. Aside from the May 27th episode, the May 27th week, it was the highest combined total since February. As it almost does every week, AEW beat NXT in every demo for every single demo except for the people over 50, where NXT had an average of 0.36 to 0.31. AEW was strongest with men 18 to 49, with a 0.36 rating to NXT's 0.24. And I think it's going to be consistent like this, maybe trend a little bit upwards as we get to Fyter Fest, because both weeks, right, both weeks of Fyter Fest and both weeks of NXT are going to be continuations of one another. NXT setting themselves up for that Fyter Fest week 1 with a great card to set up for week 2. And AEW is setting up for week 1 and week 2 as well. So it's going to be some consistent ratings. They may trend upwards over that 2-week stretch. So we'll see what happens. But when they usually build towards something, we start seeing the ratings increase. When people feel like NXT and AEW really isn't doing much of anything as far as build, or we're in between pay-per-views or special events, and we have a several-week stretch where there's not much going on, ratings are going to dip lower than they usually should be. And it's just the trend. Clearly, it's up. It's up 21%. AEW, NXT was up 11%. And it's going to be that way when there's meaningful shows, and they're building towards meaningful shows. So it's nothing out of the norm here. It is typical AEW, NXT, typical pro wrestling, peaks and valleys. Nothing new here. WWE moved Ali to Monday Night Raw with zero explanation. Now, I know why Ali moved to Monday Night Raw, but WWE won't explain this publicly. Now, WWE officials have decided to move a certain Monday Night Raw, former Monday Night Raw star, to SmackDown back to Monday Night Raw. PW Insider reported on Wednesday Ali has been quietly shifted to the Raw brand. It should be noted that Ali isn't listed as a Raw superstar yet on WWE.com, but that will likely change. This comes during an interesting time for Ali, who recently took to social media to let fans know that he wasn't happy with the way he's been used on Friday night. For several weeks, WWE has been doing a hacker angle on Friday Night SmackDown, although the identity of said superstar behind the hacker gimmick was never revealed. It was widely assumed that Ali was the hacker. WWE hasn't aired any of the videos connected to the hacker in recent weeks, which has made WWE fans think that the company decided to finally drop the angle. Ali hasn't worked a match in WWE since February 7th, which was a dark match at SmackDown, where he went over Drew Gulak. While Ali could get a renewed push on Raw, doubtful. It should be noted that he won't be working with Paul Heyman, as the advocate of Brock Lesnar was recently moved to an on-air performer only, and he was removed of his duties of executive director of Raw. Bruce Pritchard, as you guys know, has taken over the role in addition to the executive director position that he has on SmackDown. So Ali was moved to Raw without any explanation. He goes from one Bruce show to the other. He goes from one show that he's probably never going to be used on to a show that he's probably never going to be used on. If he wasn't used on the 2-hour show with the minimal roster that they have over there, you mean to tell me that Vince is going to promote and push Ali? Give me a break. Ricochet, Humberto, Aleister Black, guys like that, Cedric Alexander have not gotten a push on Raw at all. And you're expecting me to sit here and think that Ali's going to get a push on Monday nights. You must be as dumb as a box of fucking crayons. It's not happening. And if it does happen, it'll die before you could even breathe. Now, why was Ali moved to Monday Night Raw? Ali was very outspoken about what Jackson Ryker had said and what Jackson Ryker was being accused of on social media. Jackson Ryker is part of the Forgotten Sons. The Forgotten Sons were on the same brand as Ali. Ali complained. I'm sure of it. On social media, publicly. Probably asked to be moved to Raw. Just to kind of keep the locker room at ease and at peace. That's why. WWE gonna explain that to you? Probably not. But I seen it happen on social media, and that was the one thing that I thought of in regards to that. All you gotta do is go back and scroll on Twitter and Ali's wall, and I'm sure it's still there. But he will not be used on Raw. He will not be used on Raw whatsoever. And Ali is one of the more talented guys that they have on that brand on SmackDown. Didn't use him. Now, the hacker storyline, I have no idea where they're going with it. The Twitter account is still up. The Twitter handle is still active. We don't know what WWE's got planned for that. But I'm assuming that they have a plan. They should have a plan for it. I mean, it was the reason why Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville split up. If you want a big logic gap in that situation, I mean, by all means, don't continue the storyline. How did Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville break up? Oh, the hacker that was on SmackDown made it happen, but we never revealed who the hacker was. Give me a break. You owe it to the fans to find a new quote-unquote hacker and finish the fucking storyline. Or the reveal. Or continue having him hack and unveil the truth in other situations. Something needs to happen here. You just can't go and just, all right, we're going to drop it because we moved the one guy that we thought was going to be it over to Raw. Meanwhile, it played a big focus in breaking up two of your most prominent women on SmackDown. Doesn't make sense. Come on. Can't just drop shit with no explanation. Ali moving to Raw, that is an explanation, but WWE won't reveal that to be the true explanation. Also moving to Raw, 2 other SmackDown superstars. Now, WrestleVotes tweeted this week that Dolph Ziggler is moving to SmackDown as part of the trade for AJ Styles. I don't know how in any world you think that Dolph Ziggler and AJ Styles is a fair one-on-one trade, but by all means, continue to just swallow the WWE agenda. It's garbage. WrestleVotes said, Ziggler is now traded to Raw because AJ moved to SmackDown and that was part of the deal. In what world is that an even deal, an even trade for SmackDown? Or Raw? Now, Raw doesn't need Dolph Ziggler. But, I mean, if you're trading AJ Styles away, bro, you should be getting more than just Dolph Ziggler. As noted over the weekend, the belief is that Styles was moved to SmackDown because he did not get along with Paul Heyman. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that story. Who doesn't get along with Paul Heyman? Come on. If anybody, it's WWE management and not Paul Heyman. I feel like Paul Heyman would actually fight for the right of the roster. But somehow the report said that Styles was upset at Heyman because Heyman didn't go to bat for Gallows and Anderson when Vince McMahon fired Gallows and Anderson. But what would Paul Heyman be able to do in that situation anyway? Absolutely nothing. So you're talking to a brick wall. You're blaming somebody that you know had absolutely no chance to do what you wanted him to do. He couldn't even do his own job correctly. He had no say in the job that he was given, and you want him to stick up for you two brothers? Come on, bro. Seriously. Styles moved to SmackDown, and apparently that was because of Paul Heyman. He was removed as executive director of Raw. As noted earlier this week, like I just reported here, Ali also was quietly moved to Raw from SmackDown. If Ali is indeed the hacker, could we see the angle dropped? Could it be moved to Monday Night Raw? We don't know. We don't know. That is unless they decide to give the storyline to somebody else on SmackDown and keep it on SmackDown. Again, we don't know. Ziggler's move to Raw effectively takes him out of the Mandy Rose and Otis Sonya Deville storyline. That's done. That's done. Now, another report has emerged that WWE is also moving Bobby Roode over to Monday Night Raw from SmackDown. The new report from Ringside News comes in claiming that Bobby Roode is being switched over to Monday Night Raw, which follows WrestleVote's report of Dolph Ziggler being moved to Monday Night Raw. Roode has been absent from WWE TV for months because he was unable to travel in from Canada due to travel restrictions brought on by the CV pandemic. Roode and Ziggler have been working as a tag team and even reigned as Raw Tag Team Champions in 2019. With Roode absent, Ziggler has become embroiled in the romance angle with Otis Mandy and Sonya Deville that now, like I said, has been dropped with Dolph Ziggler and his role. So WWE, like I mentioned before, they're putting a child's Band-Aid on the Monday Night Raw Tag Team division. They realize that moving Dolph Ziggler does nothing to Monday Night Raw. So they realize, well, you know, the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders, this isn't going to go on forever. And who do we actually have that we want to push that is established on this show? You know, because fuck Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. Fuck those guys. We were pushing them for a little bit, and now we're not pushing them at all. But who is established that we could put up against either the Viking Raiders or the Street Profits for the Tag Team Championships on Monday Night Raw? Oh, that's right. We're moving Dolph Ziggler over to Raw. Why don't we move Bobby Roode as well and pair this tag team together again in 2020 to go up against the Street Profits or the Viking Raiders as the next in line for the Tag Team Championships? Meanwhile, Dolph Ziggler has done nothing to earn a tag team title shot. Bobby Roode has done nothing to earn a tag team title shot because he was off TV. And they're just going to poof, appear. And somehow just be waiting for whoever the tag team champions are. If that does not tell you WWE's direction or care for the tag team division, I don't know what will. It is absolutely egregious. It is terrible. It's disgusting. And this is WWE clearly putting a child's Band-Aid on a fucking shotgun wound. That's all it is. The bleeding continues to happen every single week, and tag team wrestling is dead hot. Anybody looks at this and somehow gets excited about it, man, you are a fucking shill. You really are. This means absolutely Nothing. Dolph Ziggler actually looked cool standing next to Sonya Deville. Somehow she made him look cool. And that WWE takes Dolph Ziggler away from Sonya and this entire storyline. Now Sonya is in the eye of Miz and Morrison, and Mandy's going to obviously be teaming with Heavy Machinery, as that's going to have its own little thing going on. Now Dolph Ziggler's on Raw. What does that do? Oh, great. We got to see Dolph Ziggler versus Aleister Black. Dolph Ziggler versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title because he's an established guy? We've seen it already. How many fucking times? But clearly they're moving Bobby Roode over to Monday Night Raw as well, so they may just actually pair them as a tag team because they have no tag teams. But either way you look at it, in a singles way or a tag team way, Dolph Ziggler doesn't do anything for Monday Night Raw. Nothing. So they're moving Ziggler and Roode over to Monday Night Raw. And who cares? Who could possibly give a shit? What I do give a shit about is Bianca Belair. Where is Bianca Belair? Where is the EST of WWE? It looked like when she made her debut on Raw following WrestleMania, she was about to begin a feud with Zelina Vega. Whatever was planned for that storyline clearly was dropped and has not been seen on Raw since WrestleMania. Belair closed the month of May out with matches on WWE Main Event with Ruby Riott. She's been out of weekly storylines on Raw. This has led to some on social media asking, where is Bianca Belair? Did WWE give up on her already? Dave Meltzer noted that Belair's absence from WWE is simply a creative decision after a decision was made to change course from where she was going. Meltzer said the following on the Wrestling Observer forum, and I quote, "She was introduced, then somebody decided on wacky skits that she just did not fit in. So they didn't put her on TV because she wasn't in any program. Now it's a new cycle and we'll see." Meaning Vince and Bruce are running the show, which probably lends itself to Bianca probably having a worse spot on the show. Belair obviously has support from all over. Paige, Renee Young, the WWE fans, podcasters alike, all love Bianca. And really, Bianca should be leading the Monday Night Raw women's division and the future of women's wrestling on Monday night. I said it, instead of fucking drooling and jerking off to Charlotte Flair on Monday night and giving her fucking 16, 17, 18, 19 title reigns, she should be used in a role to be putting over other talent, namely Bianca Belair, who she has a brief history with. Asuka should be going one-on-one with Shayna. You should be having Asuka squash Nia Jax on her way to feuding with Shayna. That should be the natural progression of the women's division. But WWE is leaving Bianca out. She's leaving, she's just not involved. They're leaving Ruby Riott out. For all intents and purposes, I don't know why. But Charlotte is going to be involved. Fuck Shayna as the top heel. Bianca is not going to be there. So what exactly is WWE doing here? I can't get excited about anything women's wrestling on Monday night. It's always the same shit. It's always the same faces. Why did you even bring her up? I'm sure she could have continued dominating the NXT women's division, maybe even get an NXT title run out of it that she did not even get while she was down there. Matches with Rhea, matches with Io over the championship. I was still invested in. Matches with Candice. I don't understand the logic. You bring them up to stifle their momentum. Meanwhile, NXT, I'm sure, could have used Bianca Belair. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, hopefully we see her on TV, but I'm not holding my breath. But that's the reason why she's not on TV. No creative. No creative. There's a new faction slowly forming on WWE TV. During a backstage segment on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, MVP offered his services to Cruz. The offer was declined and Cruz went to wrestle Shelton Benjamin while MVP looked on from the backstage area. Cruz used a very heel tactic when he held the ropes to defeat Benjamin and retain the United States Championship. Now, last month, there were reports that there were plans for Cruz to turn heel and forming a stable formed by MVP. There were plans back in March to have Cruz turn on Chad Gable when he was on SmackDown, but those plans would drop when Cruz was moved to Raw. Now, Paul Heyman was removed of his creative duties. MVP stable and the plans for a stable are still in place. Shelton Benjamin's name was also discussed as a name that could join the stable. MVP has been trying to get Shelton Benjamin featured on TV a lot more as he and others in the company realized he should be utilized more. Now, we don't know what that means. Is it going to be a situation where Apollo Crews is going to be a babyface and the United States champion, and MVP is going to actively try and take the United States Championship from Apollo Crews for being defiant, and he's going to use Shelton Benjamin's as his means to get that championship in his stable? I don't know. Because right now we got Lashley and Apollo Crews right now as possible additions. But Apollo Crews really doesn't make sense. I can't see heel Apollo Crews. So could we see Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin in that group and used as a way to take the United States Championship off of Apollo? I don't know. I'm not giving this any faith whatsoever. I'm not really building any excitement around this because when WWE builds factions up, it really doesn't do anything for me. They don't really treat factions as true factions. They really haven't had a great faction on the show since the days of the Shield and the Wyatt family were feuding. I'm sorry. WWE does not do factions right. If you are a faction, you should be forming for one reason or another, and that one reason should be to take over the entire show. Championships, run shit on the show, that is it. Factions are just used in another way to group guys together that are similar, that either look similar, that feel similar, that creatively they're going in the same direction, or WWE doesn't have anything with, or they're new people, new up-and-coming stars, and they pair them together for whatever reason so that they kind of gel and grow together. There's no rhyme or reason for any of these factions to be on WWE TV. I still don't even know what the purpose of Monday Night Rollins is and his disciples with Murphy and Theory. I didn't know what it was then. I still don't know what it was now. I still don't know what Zelina Vega's group is doing. I don't get it. That's another group. You got Andrade and Garza. But aren't they a tag team? They're clearly not factoring into the United States Championship situation. If you're moving on from that, if you're moving Andrade on from the United States title, and you're moving Garza on from the United States title, and you're moving Apollo on to Shelton, and you want to get Shelton back on TV, why don't you start pairing Andrade and Garza in a tag team? I could see that. You got two babyface tag teams on Raw in the Profits and the Viking Raiders. You got Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode coming on in. They're a heel tag team. You got Andrade and Garza as a heel tag team as well. You got 4 tag teams right there. That's not enough to call it a division, but it's certainly a start. It's certainly a start. So WWE could clearly have some fun with this if they wanted to. They just refuse to. Apollo Crews, I'm still banking on him losing that championship before we get into SummerSlam. Actually, I gave him till the end of the month. We're pretty much there. Will he carry that championship into July? I don't know. Maybe he loses it at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. But with Paul Heyman gone and Apollo being a Paul Heyman guy, I don't see Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard really keeping the title on Apollo. In fact, I read a report last week on Off the Script that Vince McMahon was giving up on Apollo already. That he's looking to change what Paul Heyman had given us on Raw. And Apollo was one of those things he wanted to change. WWE is pushing Nia Jax over Shayna Baszler as the top heel on Raw. I read a report this week that Vince is over, finally over Shayna Baszler, that he doesn't see Shayna Baszler as a star on the main roster. So send her back down to NXT where she will be used properly. Baszler took a shot at Becky Lynch and her pregnancy. She actually took the opportunity to diss Becky Lynch after getting pregnant at the height of her career a couple of times. Once on Raw, again on the bump on social media. Nia Jax is the other heel on Monday Night Raw. She did not win the Raw Women's title at Backlash. She did not win the Raw Women's title on Monday. And that was because of John Cohen, the referee. Shayna Baszler was not heard from at all since beating Natalya in a submission match on Raw. That was before we even got a match for the Women's Championship. I believe that featured, who was it? Nia and Natty against Asuka? It was Nia, Natty, and Charlotte to go on to fight the women's champion at the pay-per-view, which was Asuka. Shayna did not even factor into that. Meanwhile, she beat Natty twice in a row, back-to-back weeks, and she wasn't even in the match. If that doesn't tell you that they're low on Shayna Baszler, I don't know what the fuck will tell you. So Shayna hasn't been hurt at all, or heard from at all. During Wrestling Observer Live, Dave Meltzer explained WWE's reason for not having Nia lose. I told you why. At this point, she seems to be the only heel on Raw right now, until Charlotte comes into play, obviously, with Shayna now completely gone. He says, and I quote, well, the idea was that they're trying to protect Nia for whatever reason. I told you the reason. I think that's maybe she's going to be the only heel because Shayna has disappeared. End quote. Dave Meltzer, man, with an exhilarating reason, a really in-depth reason as to why Shayna disappeared. I told you exactly what WWE was doing when I talked about the way that they're booking Nia Jax just about 15 minutes ago. There's no real reason as to why Shayna Baszler has disappeared. Vince McMahon seems to not find Shayna Baszler to be a legit star. Perhaps he was bummed that a vampire gimmick didn't fly in 2020. Well, he's the one who ruined it. He's got nobody else to blame but himself. Shayna Baszler was also a huge Paul Heyman project, and all of Paul Heyman's projects are being thrown in the garbage on Monday night for my good old buddy Bruce to come in and ruin. Baszler was set to win the Royal Rumble. She lost. Baszler was set to win the Money in the Bank, but she didn't win it. So clearly, Shayna Baszler has disappeared, and I say send her back down to NXT where she will be used properly. Where they actually care about her, where they booked her correctly. Give me a break. Asuka, her push will not be impacted with Paul Heyman being fired. This is a Wrestle Talk exclusive. Their sources have said that WWE higher-ups, including Vince McMahon, are still high on Asuka and see value in her as a top player in the women's division, especially in the absence of Becky Lynch. Now, Wrestle Talk reportedly said several months ago, prior to Money in the Bank, that WWE had big plans for Asuka and were impressed with her work and reliability, and they've been told that that has not changed. Now, our sources, they say, added that while the futures of many previously underutilized stars are in doubt following Heyman's firing on Raw, Asuka is not one of those that needs to be worried about, with one source saying the following on the matter, and I quote, Vince is still high on Asuka. She won't be hurt with Heyman gone. Kind of lines up with what I said earlier about Nia Jax. Asuka may be the women's champion, but when she loses the championship, it won't be Asuka taking the pin. So if they're really high on Asuka, they may take the title off of her while continuing to somehow make her look strong. She won't be pinned, and then she'll chase the championship, overcoming the odds that are stacked against her on Raw, like I previously mentioned just to you a little bit ago. So it kind of lines up with what these wrestle geeks are talking about. Meanwhile, it's not that difficult to figure out where they're going with this, folks. All you have to do is watch the show and open your eyes and just use a little bit of logic and apply it to the WWE program. It's not that difficult to figure out. I can do their job better than they can do their own job. Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. This is another exclusive. They actually pitched their own storyline to management, and it got approved. This is also coming from Wrestle Talk. Now, 4 years ago, Bobby Lashley defeated Drew McIntyre, then Drew Galloway in TNA to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in what I was told by a lot of different people was a great match. Bobby Lashley was different, JD, than you see him now when he was in Impact. Seems like their time working together in TNA means Lashley and Drew have a lot of respect for each other. And Wrestle Talk's sources have said that Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley actually pitched the idea of working together to the higher-ups post-WrestleMania. So which is it? Is it a Paul Heyman thing that he wanted? Or is it a Drew McIntyre-Bobby Lashley thing that was overseen by Paul Heyman and he agreed to it? He's like, this is a good idea. I like where you guys are going. Let's talk. But it wasn't, according to this, a Paul Heyman thing that he specifically pushed. It was a Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley thing that was pitched to management, and they somehow approved it. Why did they approve it? Because they have nobody else on that show worthy of a number one contendership to the WWE Championship. They're so desperate for a number one contender that they're going back into the TNA vault. Oh, you guys had a great match. Let's do it on Raw and do it better than you did then. Seems like their time working in TNA means that they have a lot of respect for each other. Sources have said both men enjoyed working together in the past, and they knew that they can put on a great match if given the opportunity. Wrestle Talk was also told that both men also saw the value in a feud for their respective careers. Someone else who was also influential in getting this storyline going was Paul Heyman. Heyman has been a fan of Lashley for many years, dating back to his time in ECW. Now again, it was pitched by them, with Heyman being obviously all for it. Now, was Monday the end of it because Vince wants nothing to do with Heyman's vision anymore? Maybe. I don't see how it could possibly go on after Monday. Monday certainly looked to be the write-off for me. So why would Bobby Lashley get another championship match when he got 2 in a row on Sunday and then on Monday and lost both of them? Seems like a writing off of the angle to me. Seems like a great way to kind of weave in Randy Orton into the WWE Championship title picture. That may be where they go with this. That may be where they go with this. So Paul Heyman was definitely a part of it, but it was pitched to management by Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Speaking of Heyman, the structure and pacing of the match that they had at Backlash was something that he was working on with both men in the build to the match, with the finish being something more in line with what Vince McMahon wanted to see. So there you go with that. Like I said, it is best if we end it. It went nowhere. It wasn't exciting. Nobody gave a shit about it. It was done simply because they had nothing else left to do on Monday night, and now they are in the clear, and if they wanted to go on to something new, they certainly could do that, starting on Raw. And I hope that they do. Because the more Lashley is in the WWE title picture, the worse Drew McIntyre and the WWE Championship will look for it. Finally, guys, this is not anything new, but I'm surprised this is even in the news. How long this lasts, I have no idea. But Vince McMahon apparently is high on Angel Garza. He thinks he could be a young Eddie Guerrero. Has Vince finally opened up the world of social media? I don't know. A lot of people have been saying that in NXT, and now he's just seeing it. Vince is late to the fucking party as usual. Alex McCarthy of TalkSport reports that Garza is the latest star to become a favorite of Vince McMahon. It was noted in the report that McMahon even referred to him as a young Eddie Guerrero. While Garza and Guerrero share the same Mexican heritage, the comparisons between them extend to having charisma and being good workers in the ring. McMahon was close with Guerrero, who remains beloved by fans even after his passing in 2005. After news broke of McMahon deciding to remove Paul Heyman as executive director of Raw, there has been speculation about who would be impacted, what stars would be saved, and what stars would be absolutely buried on Raw. Some of the names considered to be Heyman projects include Andrade, Mysterio, Theory, the Street Profits, the Viking Raiders, Murphy, Black, Garza, Vega, Apollo, Asuka, Charlotte, and Nia. Based on this report, it appears that Garza is safe for now. He's paired with Andrade and Zelina on Monday. For the last few months, they've been teasing a breakup, but I honestly think after Monday, Zelina said, you need to stop fighting with one another and start fighting together. Seems like an easy in to form a tag team in what I say is a very depleted and dead division. And they're a credible fucking duo. And they've been together, and we know they've been together, and they look great together. Why not? It'll be a great platform to get him some championship gold if that's where you want to go with it. Seriously. A young Eddie Guerrero, I think kind of everybody watching him in NXT, even after the first or second time we've seen him, I know for a fact on my NXT reviews when they were still on network, when it was 1 hour, and we seen him in the breakout tournament, he was the one guy I wanted to see more of because of that look of a young Eddie Guerrero. Vince, as always, late to the party. How long he's high on him? I don't know. Could be a couple of weeks, it could be a couple of months, and like always, Vince gets bored, takes Garza, puts him on the shelf, and we never see Garza again. 6 months passed, we're asking where Garza is on Monday night. Guys, I'm getting out of here. If you enjoyed the podcast, let me know down below, and let me know what you think of everything that happened and transpired on the podcast. Comment section is yours. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure to do that. I really appreciate it. I'll be back on Monday with Raw, as always, live tweeting with you guys, as usual. If you missed any episodes of Off the Script this week, Monday Night Raw, NXT, AEW, SmackDown, and then part 1 of the podcast this weekend for episode 331. Links are down below in the description of this very video. Make sure you guys check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/JDfromNY206 if you guys want to just show some extra appreciation to what I do here. And the Ridge, ridge.com/script Use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off. If you guys want to go get your own off-the-script face masks, your face coverings, go and get that at mouthmasker.com/off, or actually OTS. It's mouthmasker.com/OTS. A lot for me to remember here, man. So much shit going on. But go get your face coverings, your off-the-script face mask today. Guys, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and turn on that bell for all notifications. And I'll see you right back here on Monday for Monday Night Raw. Should be another Bruce-filled garbage episode of Monday. I can't wait. See you guys then.